All right, this is the answer key to lesson 89. Now you're going to maybe hear some thunder behind me. Happens to be a thunderstorm going through right now. I'm getting all sorts of noises, aren't I? Everything happens behind me. Here we go. First problem, A. I need to practice A, B, C, and F. So for A, it says find each square root. Well, if you have it memorized, this happens to be 13. Now, you remember I've been saying this for a little bit now. I got these things memorized. 1 squared, for example, is 1. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. 5 squared is 25. 6 squared is 36. 7 squared is 49. 8 squared is 64. 9 squared is 81. 10 squared is 100. 11 squared is 121. 12 squared is 144. And 13 squared is 169. Only reason I'm so fast at it is I took the time to memorize it somewhere along the way. Nobody actually told me to do it. I just decided it was more efficient. As far as B goes, I don't have any shortcut like that. I could fish around and see if there happens to be some prime numbers in there. Or what I can do is just go ahead and do the tree. That's a pretty big one, so I think I'll just automatically go right with the tree. So let me make a little space for that tree over here on the right. So here we go with the tree. I have 484. I'm going to use 4. And 4 will go into that 121 times. Oh, look what I got right there. I actually just found my perfect squares. So I'm going to stop with that. I got square root of 4 times the square root of 121. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 121 is 11. It was just on my list that I erased. That gives me 22. Now the next one, 961. Again, I don't have a clue. So I'm going to start breaking it down, and maybe I get lucky like I did on the last one and come across some perfect squares, maybe not. Oh, let me see. What might go into that? I'm guessing maybe 7. Let's see if it does. I'm going to work it down here. 961 divided by 7, that would be 1. 26. 7 goes into 26 3 times. That'd be 21. And then I get 51. Nothing. So 7 doesn't work. I wonder if this is one of those ones that nothing works. 2 doesn't work because it's like, I look at the end, that's even, so 2 doesn't go into it. 3 doesn't work because when I add up my digits, I end up with 9 plus 7, which would end up being 16. So that doesn't work. It has to be a number divisible by 3. 4, if it's not 2, then it's not even. 5 doesn't end in 0 or 10. 6, again, that's an even, so 2 doesn't work. None of the evens will. 7, we just checked. 8, nope. 9, no, didn't add up. It added up to 16. Has to be something divisible by 9. 10 needs to end in 0. 11, I guess, is a possibility. I better check that. Oh, let me see. Let's try 21. If I do that, I get 1, 1, 2, 2, 231. So that's much too small. Let's try, I need to be over double that. So let's try making that 3 times bigger. That would be 63. So 3 times 1 would be 3. 3 times 1 is 3 again. 6 times 1, 6 and 6. That gives me 3, 9, 693. I'm getting more in the ballpark, even bigger. So let's try 11 and 91. Now that gives me 1, 1, 9, 9. Whoa, I'm actually too big. So let's try 11 and 90. That'd be 1, 0, 0, 9, 9, 0, 9, 9. Still too big. 11 and 87, because that would end in a 1. No, it doesn't. I take it back. I was thinking about like if I had 13. So I have 1, 7, 7, 8, 1, 7. That would be 15. And I lost something there. Oh, that should have been 8. So that would be 957. Am I on the ballpark finally? Yeah. So that's not going to work. And I can keep on going. A lot of times you want to check 13 also. Due to my lack of space, I'm going to eliminate that for right now. I think I'm pretty confident in saying that this is reduced. Can't do anything else with it. Number D, or letter D, it says, between which two roots is this? Well, the closest two are 1 and 4. So it's between 1 and 4. Square root of 4, which means it's between 1 and 2 once I simplify them. Going on, number 4 says draw a ratio box for this problem, then solve the problem using a proportion. Okay, you can see I got the ratio box over to the left. I got the usual system where I have 1, 2, 3 columns, and also 3 rows. I have the one box in the corner marked out because we don't tend to use it. Now I'm going to clean this out and talk about the other parts. The reason why I knew to put S and F in the first column was when you read the first sentence, it says the recipe called for sugar and flour. So the S stands for sugar and the F stands for flour. Then the next part of it says 2 to 9. So 2 needs to line up with sugar, 9 needs to line up with the flour. Notice also, as they say ratio, that gives you a big clue that you might need that ratio box. If the chef used 18 pounds of flour, so you can see I got the 18 in the right spot, how much sugar was used? So I'm using this whole thing right here. That means I have 2 over 9 equals the equivalent fraction of some missing number over 18. Now I need to take 9 and double it to get 18. So what I do to the bottom, I got to do to the top, I end up with 4. And my unit is pound. Number 7, Amanda used a compass to draw a circle, and you can see the drawing over there. What is the diameter of the circle? Well, that would be twice as big as the radius. So that would make it 8. What is the circumference? Well, circumference equals the diameter times pi. We already know the diameter is 8. And pi, they tell me to use 3.14. So that means I have 3.14 times 8, which could be a nicer calculation. We're going to do this over to the side. Eight times 4 is 32, carry the 3. 8 times 1 plus 3 more is 11. 8 times 3 is 24 plus 1 more is 25. I have 2 numbers beyond the decimal, so I got to go to the back or the right-hand side of this value, go 2. I end up with 25.12. So my answer is 25.12. So there's B. And I already had A before. Number 8, it says in problem 7, what is the area of this? Okay. Now, area means I got to take the radius squared it and times it by pi. So I need to know what the radius squared is. Radius on here is 4. You can see where I'm circling it on the drawing. So 4 squared is 16. Pi, they already told me, is 3.14, and I just ended up with another hideous calculation. But a little heads up, 16 is twice as big as 8. So all I need to do is take my last number and times it by 2, make it twice as big. That's going to be a time saver. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. 5 times 2 is 10, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. 1, 2. 50.24. What is the area of the triangle at the right? Well, I got to multiply where that right angle is circled. So that would be 8 times 4. No, 8 times 5. That would make 40. Then I get to divide it by 2. because otherwise I'm actually figuring out the area of a rectangle. Like if I were to extend this thing out, I'd end up with a rectangle. And you're like you're figuring out the rectangle when you take 5 times 8. So I need to cut that in half. I know it doesn't quite look like that with the drawing, but that's more my bad drawing. Divide that by 2 and I end up with 20. My unit is inches squared. Now for number 10, it says, what's the area of the parallelogram? Well, the point of this is you get it the same way. I'm still taking 8 times 5. That's 40. But because it's a parallelogram, I don't need to do anything as far as division. The division is for the triangle because it's half the size of the parallelogram, or whatever shape it comes out to be. You might want to call it a rectangle. You might want to call it a square sometimes, but it's grouped under parallelogram. B, what is the perimeter? Well, I got 6 on this side, so the opposite side needs to be the same. And then on the bottom, I have 8, so the opposite side is the same. Be careful not to use a 5 that's not actually on the outside. So I have 6 plus 8 plus 8. That would be 12 plus 16, and that would give me 28, and my unit is inches. And I forgot to put my inches squared on the previous one. Number 13, I have 2 is being times by 15. Then I'm adding 2 times 12. So I need to know what 2 times 15 is. That would be 30. And I need to know what 2 times 12 is. That would be 24. And it says to add them, so that's why I wrote that down. I end up with 54. Number 15, $6 divided by 8. Well, that could have been nicer. Let's go ahead. 8 on the outside, $6 on the inside. Put your decimal up. Pretty clear we're going to need it. Put your dollar sign up. 8 doesn't go into 6, so there's a 0 there. Zeros continue beyond the 6. So 8 into 60. Oh, let me see. I'm thinking 7. That would be 56. And then that leaves me with a 4. Bring down the next 0. So that would give me 8 into 40. Well, that's not too bad. 75 cents. That's not bad, huh? Now, I can write it as 0.75 like that, or I can write 75 cents. Number 17, I have 37.5 divided by 100. Well, you know, that's the same thing as 37.5, so I might as well change it to a decimal and then move my decimal twice. 1, 2, I end up with the answer of 0.375. There you go. Number 18, I have 3 is divided by, I need the reciprocal. Actually, I need the, I'm going to need the reciprocal in a minute, but I need the improper fraction first. 2 times 7 is 14. Plus 1 more up on top would be 15 over 2. So now I get to do the reciprocal. It's always the second one that's flipped. And I can do a little canceling because this is 3 over 1. 3 will go into 15 5 times, ends up being 2 over 5. Number 21, 30 and 60 are going together. So I actually have 90 plus m equals 180. So I need to subtract the 90 from the 180 to do the opposite. So I end up with m equals, surprisingly, 90. Number 26, solve this proportion. I need to divide by what's opposite the letter at the diagonal, or the angle. So I'm going to end up dividing by 12. Usually I can do a little canceling. 8 and 21 are being multiplied. Now what I'm noticing is 12 is the same thing as 3 times 4. So if I take the 3 into the 21, I get 7. If I take the 4 into the 8, I get 2. 2 times 7 is 14. So it worked out a lot shorter than you would have expected. Number 28 says if 2 angles are complementary, now you got to remember that means 90 degrees. They add up to be 90 degrees. If it's supplementary, they add up to be 180. And if one angle is acute, that means it's less than 90, then the other angle is what kind? Well, that's got to be acute too, because less than 90, right? So the other one's acute also. All done.